Quant, Constellation DAG, and this Project Meridian update. Now, I will state this. There's a particular section of this video that's going to pertain to the material. Before we jump into it all, we just kindly ask you to consider smashing that like. And if anything, if you're a regular, consider subscribing to our channels. This helps benefit both channels. It is the Decent wallet. Get yourself a significant discount. Links are in the description. We're going to go ahead and play that, and then we're going to jump right back.
If managing your crypto feels like solving a puzzle, it's time to switch to Decent Wallet. So just a few taps, you can manage, track, and secure your crypto with unmatched ease. And here's the best part. Grab your Decent Wallet at a discounted price by using the referral link below. Don't miss out on making your crypto experience smoother and more secure.
All right, welcome back. What do we have in that regard of these updates? It's not just Project Meridian, it's also EBAdays. It's coming up in late May. To share with you what we're talking about here. So big shout out once again to the one and only Quant Papa. He has this clip. It's a particular screenshot, I should say. And in it, again, look at what it mentions. You see here all these participants. You see here the exhibitors. You see, for example, Bank Check, some names that stand out, EBA Clearing, hence, EBAdays. Finastra is a big one. Intercope, and of course, does it mention Quant? Yeah, Quant is in the mix. Well, you also see Red Hat. We covered that before as well. As I get further into this, I want to point out this other particular clipping, and it's the whole thing of EBA Day 2025. Because when we get into it, it says, just like last year, shaping the future of payments, transaction, banking, and so on. It's an annual summit, and we've been over this, especially since last year. But this is going to come up on the 27th through the 28th, and it's going to take place in Paris, France. So, in the highlights from this, instead of reading the whole thing, Quant Papa wants me to point out to you guys that you see here, join the leaders. Join the conversation with the leading payments and transaction banking professionals in Europe. Wouldn't one of those be the Quant Network? Absolutely. You know where we're going with this. Because when we get further into it, well, on LinkedIn, there's this person. He's referred to as Petko Karamachov, the CEO of Industria, working on AI and blockchain. Guys, gals, everybody, this is just the first of many when it comes to this. And as you see here, he mentions basically not that long ago that blockchain doesn't need more promises. He believes it needs practical solutions. He thanks the European Digital SME Alliance and Blockstand.eu. And he states, I put together a practical framework for small, medium enterprises that clearly defines how to manage blockchain data, handle compliance, for example, GDPR and MiCA, and keep costs reasonable. It's not academic theory. It's something small and medium enterprises across Europe can use right now. He genuinely appreciates feedback. All right. Guess what? Who chimes in? Yeah, the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, Dr. Luke Riley, head of innovation over at Quant. He says, quote, hi, Pecco. Nice technical report. Key highlights. And of course, they have a back and forth conversation, but he recognizes that Gilbert Verdian may have mentioned that on behalf of small business standards, we'll be looking more into the whole thing of ISO TC 307, Working Group 7. But again, interesting to see how Quant Network, through people like Dr. Luke Riley, are always right on top of it. And speaking of Dr. Luke Riley, we see here that there's some highlights about this. So what was the highlights that he shared with Pecco? Well, he points out, for one, his answer, and that is ensuring interoperability between different blockchain ecosystems is critical for large-scale adoption. And basically, he looks at it from the point of view that hence why Quant Network's overledger data model is at the core of ISO/TC 307. So again, all these big conglomerates, whether they're small or small to medium enterprises, it seems as though they recognize Quant behind the scenes on things we're just not aware of because maybe it's not posted on X. Before we get further into this, we'll share the Constellation DAG part, but I want to jump on over to Channing.
Welcome to the party, pal!
Because Channing, the way I look at it is, let's face it, brother, behind the scenes for the Quant network. Your thoughts?
Absolutely. Like Dr. Luke Riley just said, Quant Networks Overledger is at the heart, it's at the base, it's at the soul of ISO TC 307. And when you truly understand that that is 60 plus countries that have come together in working groups, participating and building out blockchain standards globally. And to know that Working Group 7 is Gilbert Birdie, and he is the chief convener of that working group for interoperability. And what does Overledger provide? Interoperability amongst legacy systems and the blockchain world of Web3. People, the writing ain't not, it's not just on the wall, it's on the side of the whole building. Follow us when we are telling you what we are telling you about these companies that are literally building infrastructure. Infrastructure. Like we made an analogy about a house before, but it's back again. Your house will not be standing without the foundation that it sits on. And that foundation has to be safe, has to be resilient, and it has to be strong and future proof because it has to be able to withstand whatever is being thrown its way. Follow what we're saying about Quant Network Overledger and the foundation that they are building globally. Whether that's EBAday with the entire financial system of the EU, whether that's ISO TC 307, which is a global effort of building out a standard for distributed ledger technologies, whether that's secure asset transfer protocol coming out of the IETF for an internet protocol. This is incredible. And it's like just more and more and more gems just keep getting dropped as the days go on. But kick it back over to you, brother.
There is so many gems. We've made so many connections over the years, but whatever the case be, we're going to get more into why you guys are paying attention to this. So it's the Constellation DAG update. It's been a while since we heard more about Constellation. There's been some, I guess you could say, key webinars lately, which is really cool. But I want to highlight this one again. Shout out to Quant Papa for the link in the material. So what he has here is definitely worth pointing out. He points out this, and it's straight from YouTube. Now, you guys may hear the sound get a little choppy. It's because we're trying to cut out the copyrighted stuff. But whatever the case be, Constellation Network, digital evidence. As you see here, I'll go ahead and subscribe to these guys. This comes from what is referred to as Constellation Stardust, I believe it is. And what's interesting is all the chapters here. So for one, introducing digital evidence, Constellation Network's powered solution now available on Panasonic. That's interesting. And it says built on 6 years of Department of Defense innovation, right? So I'll come back in the frame for a brief bit because before I do, there's another part I want to point out. And again, this is only about a minute. Constellation Panasonic redefined transparency. Well, guess what? This is also why you see in the thumbnail, not just Quant and, for example, Constellation DAG shown in that thumbnail. You guys are probably wondering, why is Jasmy mentioned there? Again, Jasmy and Panasonic. It's a verified partnership, both on Japanese and other sites. But I think there's something there. And I did an outline not that long ago about Constellation DAG and possibly things like Jasmy. So now you see an example of what's indirectly used, right? Call it intermediary, Who's the intermediary? It is Constellation. So it's so interesting how to see how it all comes together. Whatever the case be, we're going to go ahead and play this for you. Draw your own conclusion. And if anything, I'll try to amp up the volume so you can hear it good enough. But yeah, let's go ahead and play this. Here we go.
Introducing digital evidence, Constellation Network's blockchain-powered solution, now available on Panasonic Toughbooks. Built on 6 years of Department of Defense innovation, it addresses a $3.6 billion compliance issue with tamper-proof records that can be used in court. In police vehicles, data is securely logged and ready for legal scrutiny. Toughbook Connect delivers military-grade performance for healthcare, logistics, and beyond. No cloud required. AI dataset provenance brings transparency to training data, increasing trust. Mining performance data provides immutable reports, giving stakeholders the clarity they need. Proofable communications, DoD-backed, prevents data tampering, cutting legal costs by 25%. Deployment on Toughbooks is seamless. HTTP scalable quantum-resistant tech powers trust at scale. Constellation and Panasonic are redefining transparency, one device at a time.
Okay, everybody. So you just saw the example that was shown there, especially at the end, Constellation and Panasonic. Even in the terminology, it sounds like a lot about Quant as well when it comes to some of the key terms, right? The audits, sense of trust, so on and so forth. Before we continue, I want to solidify any, negative thought or naysayers like, there's nothing in regard to Quant and the Department of Defense, because every time we mention, for example, Constellation, that's what really stands out. Like military contracts, whether it's the Air Force or Department of Defense, Constellation always kind of takes that lead, to say the least. I have this clip. This was taken from my collaboration with Will Fix. We're going to play that, tie it in, draw your own conclusion. We're going to jump right back. Well, as you see here, Quant Network through the Overledger, through its third API integration platform, Pipedream, because we know about Make and Zapier, states that they have integration with this thing called Momentum Aerospace. Prompt, edit, and deploy AI agents to connect to Overledger, Momentum, Aerospace, and 2,500 plus apps in seconds. And basically speaking, you may be wondering, is there smart contract functionality? Well, yes. You could prepare it, you could have it signed, and you can have it read. So there's that integration. Things talk to each other. Quant Network helps leverage technologies. Well, it's extremely interesting here, even with a basic search. How so? Well, as we get further into it, you know how we mentioned the whole thing of AI agents? Well, this is what I want to pull up. And again, you can verify this for yourself if you were to go over to the official Hedera X page. Well, on there, their most recent announcements is what? Pin message, March 26th, about specifically AI Agents Hackathon. How many times do they reference it? Well, even 6 hours ago, Hedera AI Agents Hackathon, meet the expert Brandon Davenport, talking about how he's the director of communications over at HGraph.io, which is a trusted technology partner. Like it says, blazing fast Hedera API access. Think about that. And a core voice of the Hedera community. Even as you get further into it, the DAO had, for example, a particular X space where you can win 30,000 plus 200 in pack AI agents. Again, AI agents. So I think there's something here, especially when you see some of these things, because specifically, just in case you forgot about it, the whole thing of prompt, edit, and deploy of AI agents. Now, another thing I want to talk about briefly is this. We know that when it comes to Palo Tasca, he is the plug and connect for both Hedera hbar and Quant Network. How so? He's done work with both. And we also know that he is the co-founder of the Quant Network, alongside Gilbert Verdian. But again, is also part of Hedera. So there's always been a thing in regard to Hedera and Quant. But what about this specifically about, again, the defense plug? Well, this gets really interesting because as you see here, Amentum Aerospace, Quant Overledger integration. When you jump into it, even on a simple Wikipedia search, if you look more into the company, it says specifically Amentum is an American government commercial services contractor based in Chantilly, Virginia. The company was formed in 2020, but if anything, it was a spin out of AECOM's Managed Services. It's a federal group, by the way. And after Leidos, it is the second largest government services non-equipment producing contractor in the United States government contracting market. Now, where am I really going with this? Well, here's your highlight. The company has worked on mega projects, including the Sutong Yangtze River Bridge. And by the way, that's the world's largest cable stayed bridge. I want you guys to think about this for a moment. You know, interesting to see, and I'll come back to the frame with Will. Will, we have the bridges for blockchain technology, the bridges for, let's face it, tokenization, the bridges for basically a whole new, more efficient currencies. So wouldn't it make sense that if you're building physical bridges and using that infrastructure, well, let's face it, building the new bridges for the new financial system? I think this was a big discovery, to say the least. All right, welcome back. With that said, just based off the new announcement from April 18th, Channing, I think this is a big deal, especially when it comes to Constellation. And if anything, even the thing with Panasonic moving forward. The whole point is quantum resistant. Your thoughts, Mr. Channing Harrell?
Well, the Constellation DAG Quant Network partnership has already been solidified many years ago, back when Gilbert and the CEO of Quant Network was on the X Quant stage, when we did that X video and we played that. So, but even more importantly, the wording, like people don't listen to words. Those are computers that literally, it will touch every sector: policing, fire departments, hospitals. What else did they have on there? It was another sector as well. Any sector that needs to have ironclad records, whether that's a record from an ambulance transition from whatever scene to the hospital, whether it's the records from the hospital, whatever took place while that person was under care, whether that's the records of when someone goes into custody and why they're in custody, and these things can be held up in court now. It is literally taking a system and saying this truly is so secure that we need nothing else other than to submit whatever records is coming along with this. And there you go. That's the timestamp you need for court for whatever that process is you're trying to litigate at that time. And to know that Quant and Constellation DAG already solidified a partnership years ago. We already know that Constellation DAG is surrounded itself with data, big data. That's what they are. And that is what we're getting ready to go into. That's what these APIs are. They are connecting people with enriched data. The banks right now, when you do a transaction, they don't have data from their transaction. They only know that you need to debit this account this and credit this account this. Once we go into this ISO messaging, ISO 222, that's going to give the banks enriched data. Well, this data has to be stored somewhere. It has to be securely stored somewhere because data is the new oil. So when you now see things like these Panasonic, I don't think it was a hard book or whatever it was, that not only secures the data, but does it in such a way that it can literally be submitted in a courtroom if need be. That's how secure the level of this particular device is. based off of the technology that's underpinning it. It is, we're truly moving into the digital age. People truly understand and wake up what is being piecemealed right in front of us. The breadcrumbs that have been left to grandmama's house from Hansel and Gretel. Understand what is truly being laid out. It is an incredible time to be in the Web3 space. 2025 will go down in history. I'm telling you guys, will go down in history as the most influential time in digital history. All the things that we have been seeing in movies, well, the groundwork is being truly not just laid, but also started the process of implementation right now in 2025. But I kick it back over to you, brother.
Well said. Yeah, the implementation phase. I mean, at some point, it's going to go from implementing it to actually using it full-fledged adoption.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's the way I personally look at it.
Hello again, everyone. This is Daniel, Max, and Channing's AI robot assistant. May the Lord Jesus bless you all. If you found value in the material presented by Max and Channing, please do these brothers a solid and smash that like button as you were at a monster truck rally watching a monster truck smash a bunch of vehicles below it. Also, it has come to Max and Channing's attention that a lot of you are regulars but are not subbed. Please consider subbing. It really helps the channels grow. All right, here is your code phrase if you listen to the entire outline, and that is Hedera, Quant, Jasmy, and Max and Channing will know that you listened to the entire outline. As Max would say, know what you have, know why you hold it. The research trumps FUD 110%. We will see you on the next one.